Boom. I think we're live. Let me check on the stream. The cosmonauts are there. Boom. I think. Yeah, we are live. Awesome. Welcome back to the channel, to Group to see another live stream with core cosmonauts and cosmos development projects in the space. I'm joined today by Joseph. And before we guys start, please tell us if everything is all right with the sound, with the audio. Since this is live, there's always some friction, but so far everything worked fine. Yeah, first things first, Joseph, thanks for joining. How's everything going?
I think there's an echo in your audio. I can hear you multiple times at the same time.
Really? I think that's on your end. Let me check. Can let me know in the comments.
You think it's on my
There's
side?
a noise in the background. Let me actually close my window. But yeah, because they're doing some constructions here. But I think my sound should be fine. Let me know if you guys can hear me twice. People are saying sound is okay for me. Everything sounds good. Yeah, maybe you have to. Do you have the YouTube stream on in another tab, or? Is it good now?
No. Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all saying they can hear me fine and no echo for them. So maybe you have a tab open of the YouTube live stream in the background.
Everything is fine now. I don't know what just happened. I can hear you clearly now.
Yeah, you see, those things happen only in the live stream. So this is raw and everything is live. But yeah, thanks for jumping on. How are you? All good?
Yeah, I'm great, man. I'm here in Mexico City. I was like before in Montreal. It was minus 20 Celsius degrees and now plus 20. So it's good to be in the sun, warm place.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I hope we'll find time to meet each other. We're not that far from each other, but yeah, it's really cool here and sunny, and I got a little bit sunburned. But yeah, that's the cool side of crypto, that you can just like work from anywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To be productive. But yeah, so you are a product manager at Figment. Obviously, now since yesterday the Gravity Bridge proposals came out, cosmonauts are very excited and also some concerns. So we'll try to address that in the end. But to be clear in the beginning, Joseph is not part of this working group that was designing this proposal. Joseph is more focused on the graph and its integrations, especially within a Cosmos ecosystem. So we'll focus the conversation about this, and hopefully in the end we can also bring someone else from your team on that worked on the Gravity Bridge proposals. But I still think for everybody who just tuned in now to learn about this Gravity Bridge proposal and all these things, I think it's still helpful for you guys to learn about Figment, right? The company that proposed it. So yeah, Joseph, maybe in the beginning you can tell us a little bit about the company, when you started, when you joined, and what the core mission is of Figment in the crypto space.
Yeah, sure. So if you really want to understand like what we do at Figment, you could look at the vision that we're following. So like the question that we are trying to answer, what could we do to help build Web3? So like we entered this space, the Web3 space, with the mission to keep building Web3, to help it, to scale it, to push it to its limits. So everything we do is based on this question: what could we do next? How could we keep building? How could we bring Web3 to more and more people? How could we enlarge this space? And a lot of our products, a lot of our activities in this space are based really on that narrative. You could look at, we recently launched something called Builder DAO, which used to be called Learn. And this Builder DAO is actually for Web2 developers that they want to learn how to build in Web3. So they could follow courses, they could, and if they are experts in Web3 ecosystem, they could actually publish their own lessons and they're incentivized to do it. So we have something like Learn, which is now Builder DAO, to help developers onboard from Web2 to Web3 and start building in Web3. And then we have other protocols that were playing as an infrastructure for data, for people that need to build dApps, need access to data like Data Hub. And so we build that type of infrastructure. So really, like a lot of our work is based on how could we push Web3 and help build it.
So you also have an in-house development team, right? Of like developers and programmers.
Yeah, exactly. So like when we first joined, like the founders, they were looking at how many blockchains exist at the time. There was Bitcoin, of course, there was Ethereum and a few others. And like the core component of Web3 is decentralization. And we were saying, like, if we really want the space to be decentralized, we can't have everything being built on top like of 2 or 3 chains. We need to be launching more and more chains. And this is where like we started playing an important role as validators. So our objective was to help launch as many proof of stake networks as possible to increase the decentralization of these blockchains. So we did that, and we were doing it successfully. We helped launch around like 40 proof of stake network right now. And then once we started doing it and we gained a lot of experience and knowledge in this space, the second question was like, what if there was some networks that they want to launch that they would provide a lot of utility to the Web3 system that they need help to actually build their own protocol or their own blockchain? And so this is where we started playing also a core dev team's role in this Web3 ecosystem. And the first one, we started doing it with the Graph. So we joined the Graph. We are a team of 10. We have around 8-9 developers right now working, and we're going to be expanding this team. So we joined the Graph, and we played the core dev team role to build this protocol. And we want to keep doing it with other protocols to help push and build more protocols and networks.
That's very interesting. And you said you started the validating proof of stake chains very early on. Which year was that? And when was Figment founded?
Yeah, it was like in early 2018, and I think one of the first networks like we joined as validators was Cosmos Hub, and we built something called Hubble, which is the first Cosmos block explorer, because the question was a lot of validators were joining this ecosystem as validators, and they couldn't know how their validator is behaving. Do they have like 100% up runtime? Are they being slashed? And all this information that you would need to be like a better validator. And then we created Hubble, which was accessible for anyone, and you could monitor your validator nodes and see like if you can improve it and help secure and be like a better validator of this ecosystem. And yeah, we launched the first block explorer for the Cosmos ecosystem.
That's awesome. I think you guys also have a Twitter account, right? The Hubble Alerts system or so. And I always see like when validators get like delegations or people withdraw delegations, you can see where people are delegating to, and it's just monitoring that. That's really cool. So that was really early, because I remember like early 2018, it was still pretty much Bitcoin and proof of work, right? Even Ethereum is still to date proof of work, but proof of stake back then was a very like controversial thing to even speak out, right? You get slashed immediately. So how is that? So did you just choose that back then, that this is the future, proof of stake chains and also this multi-chain future already in 2018, or what was the game plan there?
Yeah, so if I could talk about like the vision of the founders, like I wasn't there at 2018. So when the founders started Figment and like they really want to do a difference in Web3, they took a gamble on proof of stake. Like they didn't know that proof of stake is going to be 100% working. It's going to be the future. Like back at the days, like what you just said right now, people were skeptical about proof of stake. People were doubting that proof of stake could actually make it, right? It was so early that no one could actually be certain that this proof of stake mechanism or concept could actually start working. And so they took a bet, and this is like sometimes like the stories of success, that you need to take a bet on something and like just work it through and push it and give it your best, and it worked. But yeah, like if we go back at the time, they weren't certain that the proof of stake is going to be the future.
Yeah, and I think you then took another bet with Cosmos and also with the Graph, and both are working out really, really well, because they're just like critical infrastructure for the Web3 economy, right? The Graph with its indexing protocol. I actually made a video, like I think a week or two after it launched, and I dove really deep into it for a few weeks, and I was like, man, this makes so much sense, right? Like just indexing data, on-chain data, and distribute that to other dApps in the ecosystem it just makes so much sense, like a decentralized API, right? So for those, I mean, I haven't covered the Graph in a while now. Could you maybe give a 360 overview of the project? I think it was also like an early Ethereum project from the, I've seen talks of Yanif, I think is his name, one of the founders, who's been like on conferences back in the days. So can you talk a little bit about like the origin story of the Graph, how and when you guys joined, and also what's the main purpose of the protocol?
Yeah. So like, as you said, the Graph main objective is to provide indexing and querying blockchain data in a decentralized way, right? So let's say right now you're building a certain application on top of a blockchain and you need to access these blockchain data. If you want to build like an indexing mechanism yourself, or you want to like access RPC nodes yourself and collect this data, it could be something complicated and hard. Not everyone like want to do it or knows how to do it. So you either have to do it yourself, which is going to take a lot of your time, and it's going to take like some good time to learn how to do it. So instead of focusing on building your dApp in the best way possible, you're going to be allocating resources to something that you don't want to do it. And the second objective in the past was either you do it yourself or you use centralized infrastructures. And decentralized infrastructure like Infura or Alchemy, you could be using them, and then they will provide you all this blockchain data that you need. And then we go back like to the first, like what we just said at the beginning, that one of the most important components of Web3 is decentralization. Like if anything could be done in a decentralized way, we should push it and we should try to do it in a decentralized way. This is like the philosophy of Web3, right? And so back at the days, the founders of the Graph, Yanif, Brandon, Yanis, they were really into the space, and they kept seeing this type of problem. How would you access blockchain data in a decentralized way? And they started working on it. And so you can look at the Graph as you have a blockchain. The Graph was initially launched on Ethereum. So you will have a blockchain, and you will have some dApps that they are interested in some data of this blockchain. But now each dApp could be interested in something different from this blockchain. And so dApps could create something called subgraph. And in this subgraph, they would manifest their needs. They would say, like, I'm interested in knowing what was the price, account balances, let's say. They create this entity, which is called the subgraph, and they deploy it on the Graph network. And this is how the Graph network learns which data to index and start collecting this data. So you can see there's dApps and there's the Graph protocol, which is indexing. And between them, there's a bridge called the subgraph that tells the Graph which type of data to start indexing and give it back to these dApp developers. So, and everything is done in a decentralized way. And when you look at Web3 and you ask the question, what is Web3? Of course, like we have an idea of what it is and we have like a clear definition, but at the same time, the Web3 stack isn't yet completed. And the Graph is the indexing and querying protocol for Web3. Like the Graph has become like one of the most important pieces of Web3, like Web3 infrastructure. Like most of the applications right now on Ethereum are using already the Graph for them to collect data. And now we are taking the Graph and integrating it with other chains outside of the Ethereum ecosystem.
And who are the people that create subgraphs? Is it projects that like create these subgraphs for their own project? Let's say, for example, Uniswap or 1inch that are major dexes in the Ethereum ecosystem. Are the project leaders that then say, hey, we want to like index data through the Graph, who create these subgraphs, or who is doing that normally?
Yeah, it's the dApps developers themselves. Like if we take the Uniswap example, so Uniswap, they are providing a lot of analytics to their users, right? Like you can go on the Uniswap board, see prices, number of transactions, and etc. And you would ask the question, how is Uniswap getting all this data? So they're using the Graph to power their boards. And so like what Uniswap did, one of their developers, like they have a team of developers, they created their subgraph. And in this subgraph, they said that we are interested in this and that and that, and they published it on the Graph network. And on the graph, we have something called Subgraph Studio. We have some kind of products that would teach you how to create your own subgraph and helps you to make it as easy as possible for you to create these subgraphs. And with time, it's going to get even more easier to build your own subgraph.
Interesting, yeah. And I mean, I guess for the obviously for the success of any crypto project out there, it needs integrations, right? And I remember back in the day, this was like I think in October last year when it came out. There, I already saw like, wow, there's a lot of integrations already. So can you talk a little bit about integrations that you have within the Ethereum ecosystem, but then also integrations outside of Ethereum?
Yeah, so the graph originally started on Ethereum blockchain. So we were like the first chain that the graph was integrating and indexing was the Ethereum blockchain. And now you could see like different type of dApps in the Ethereum blockchain that need different type of data started using the graph. And I think like there's a very big percentage of all the dApps that exist right now on Ethereum that is using the graph. And now the second, like once we joined Figment as a core dev team, our mission was to take this technology, the graph technology, and provide it to a lot of different ecosystems because it was proven how like good it is and how important and how much people needs it on Ethereum blockchain. And so we joined to take this technology and to start integrating into different ecosystems. And so us at Figment, the first ecosystem that we started integrating the graph with was the Cosmos ecosystem. And so what does it mean to integrate the graph with the Cosmos ecosystem? We're going to be integrating the graph with multiple different chains within the Cosmos ecosystem. And then what does it mean? Let's say that right now we integrated the graph with Cosmos Hub. It means that once the integration is completed, all the applications that need data from Cosmos Hub, they could start using the graph to collect all this data. And now when you think about the vision of like what we could achieve, you would have the IBC to transfer all your tokens from one chain, interoperability between the Cosmos ecosystem, and you could have the graph indexing all these different chains. So if you have a dApp that needs to access different data from different chains within the Cosmos ecosystem, you could make it one-stop place, like at the graph, create your own subgraphs to do it, and then collect all the data that you need from different Cosmos ecosystem chains directly from the graph.
Which means more reliable and more and faster data, right, within the ecosystem for dApps to use.
Yeah, of course. And the most important thing is that verifiability. Like when you are using a centralized service, you are relying that this centralized service is providing you the real data. Like if I have a database and I keep everything within my database and I don't show you what this database has, and then you query something from this database and I give you the answer, how could you make sure that the data I'm giving you is the real data? So that's the problem with centralized RPC nodes, right, and data providers. When you do it with the graph, because it's in a decentralized way, anyone could be verifying that the data that I gave it back to you was actually the real data. And this is the most important notion around blockchain data right now is verifiability. How could you verify and how could you prove that we are giving you the right data?
Can you maybe, I think for some people, when they hear this, it sounds more like, price oracles, and they start to think about Chainlink and band protocol. Can you maybe explain the difference between an oracle like Chainlink, which brings off-chain data on chain, and then the graph, which then is the next step, right? It's kind of like the inverse of what Chainlink does. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Like this is a good way to look at it. Like there's Chainlink, there's Pyth right now built on top of Solana. So let's say that in the real world, like outside of the blockchain world, you have, let's say, a bank, and this bank has the prices of USD and Euro, right? Like they have the ratio of USD to Euro. And these data doesn't exist on the blockchain. So an oracle is going to take this data from the bank, and then they're going to come and publish it on the blockchain. So now, thanks to the oracle, the data of the real world exists on the blockchain. Now, the next step is like, let's say that I am building a dApp and I need to access this data. How will I do it? This is where the graph comes in. The graph is integrated directly on the blockchain level, keeps indexing this data and then putting it into somewhere for you to be able to query it. And so the graph is taking the data from the blockchain and providing it to the outside world, versus the Oracle is taking the outside world data, putting it on the blockchain. The graph takes the data from the blockchain and surface it back up.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. I think that helps everybody to understand the difference and what the graph actually does, because it's a very, like, I mean, everybody understands like, oh, it's a layer one, it's, faster, cheaper, it scales, blah, blah. But like an indexing protocol, it's something that I think is very new. But now with the explosion of dApps and with the explosion of decentralized exchanges, trading volumes and all these things, we definitely need reliable data in these protocols, right? So because it's real money that's being traded there, right? Like billions of dollars every day. And I think can we maybe name some integration before you share the Alpha League and upcoming new integration? Can you share some of the names of the dApps that are using the graph already today?
Yeah, you could think about like most of the biggest dApps in the Ethereum ecosystem, and they're like almost all using the graph. You can think about SushiSwap, you can think about Uniswap, you can think about 0x Exchange, you can think about Juicebox, which is like powering a lot of dApps. You can think actually like
also.
Which one?
Synthetics, I think.
Synthetics,
also, right?
yeah, Synthetics. Like there's so many. Like I could open right now a page and like list you like hundreds and hundreds of applications in the Ethereum ecosystem that are using the graph.
Okay, so that's Ethereum. Now, Cosmos, you said the Cosmos Hub is already done. Can you maybe, before you shill the upcoming integration, what does this mean now for dApp developers that are building in Cosmos? You already teased a little bit earlier that they can now access these data, but can you maybe share some use cases, what that benefits to Cosmos developers and new chains that are being built?
Yeah, sure. Like, you could ask the question, which dApp doesn't need to access blockchain data? Like, you can think about any dApp and they all need blockchain data, right? Like, whatever this dApp does, like they need data. And so like that's why like the vision at some point, like all dApps are gonna be accessing blockchain data. But yeah, so like within the Cosmos ecosystem, how we are approaching what we're doing. So I think most of you here, Cosmonauts, like they know about how things work within the Cosmos ecosystem. So you have Tendermint, which is like the base layer where, like people, instead of building their own blockchain, they could just come and leverage the Tendermint layer and then build their applications on top of the Tendermint layer. And so what we did is that instead of integrating each chain individually, like instead of starting with Cosmos Hub and then jumping on the others individually, what we did is we came and directly integrated the graph with Tendermint. And so this would give us like the base layer of transactions that's happening on the Tendermint. And then what we do next is we do like a little bit of modifications, integrations of like the top applications chains like Cosmos Hub, and then we could support this chain completely. So now we completed the Tendermint integration. It's being PR reviewed with our peers, Node and Seeming Fast. And so once we have this Tendermint integration completely reviewed and completely integrated, now the last step would be to start adding these application layers, like all the chains, like layer ones, application layers built on top of Tendermint. So this is the approach that we use to help us like scale it and do it better and in a better way. And so the first one, layer one, we're doing is Cosmos Hub. This is where we're starting with. This is like where everything in the Cosmos ecosystem started. So this is why we're starting with Cosmos Hub, of course. And so we started working on Cosmos Hub this week. And in the upcoming weeks, Cosmos Hub integration is going to be completed. And so that means like all the dApps that need to access data from the Cosmos Hub chain, they could start building their own subgraphs and accessing these blockchain data. And for anyone like who needs to start using the graph for Cosmos Hub, we really are here to help you to help you build your subgraphs. Don't mind to DM us, send us an email, and we're gonna walk you through and be there to help you with it.
Awesome. And I think you also have an announcement to make, right? About what's the next Cosmos chain. So what is that about? Tell us.
Yeah. Yeah, so people were asking us about what is like the next chain we want to integrate, and we have like many ones right now on the roadmap that we want to integrate, but we still haven't announced the next one is going to be directly after Cosmos Hub, and so the next one is going to be the Terra chain.
Yeah, I love Joseph because you always come with announcements. At Cosmos, you did the Cosmos announcement. Now you're doing the Terra announcement. So Graph is coming to Terra, and I think that also makes a lot of sense. It's also a huge ecosystem, right? And lots of depths within that ecosystem. So I think development teams need a lot of data there.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much activity happening right now in the Terra ecosystem, and we were supporting like some dApps, and I think like there's a lot of data being ingested on the Terra chain. So like a solution with the Graph, it's going to facilitate everyone's life there. And we saw like a big need. People were asking us if we could integrate the Graph with Terra because like they need it. It's hard for them to access these data, and so that's why we're doing it.
Awesome. Before we talk more about Cosmos, can you share a little bit about the Graph in terms of like how it's built, right? I mean, you said it's residing on Ethereum. It also has their own token, right? The GRT token, which is, I think, governance and also used within that ecosystem. So maybe you can share a little bit about the like how the Graph is built actually, and whether there might even be at one point the thought to put it on its own chain, maybe on a Cosmos chain, and also the utility of GRT in that whole process of building subgraphs and all these kind of things.
Yeah, so the Graph is built on Ethereum, and I don't think there's any plan to move the Graph on like an L1 in the Cosmos ecosystem. And yeah, so the Graph is like you could see it as like a protocol being built on top of Ethereum, and how it behaves. Like it's actually, you could look at it as like a bunch of smart contracts. So when you are creating your subgraph, you're actually creating a smart contract that is going to be indexing this data. And so the vision, I think, for the Graph, of course, is as long as we are talking about right now, is to stay on Ethereum and not to become like an L1 somewhere else. Maybe in the future there's different consideration. I'm not sure, but in the short term, we haven't discussed such a thing. And about that, the Graph token, how is it used? And so you could look at the Graph token being as a work token. So you have some chains that they have their own token for people to use it as in delegation and to help secure the network for validators as well. And you have different type of tokens, which are work token. And this work token is actually used to interact with the protocol and to access service. So work tokens is actually directly related with protocols that are providing service. And then these service providers are actually paid with this token. And so when you look on the Graph, you have the indexers. So the indexer is a role within the Graph protocol. This role is the role which is responsible of indexing and collecting this data. They index the data, they put it in a database, and then they wait for people to query this data from the indexers. And then the indexers gives you back the data that you queried. And so when you want to use the Graph to query data, you need to pay for these services, and you pay for these services with the GRT token. So this is how the GRT token is used for the Graph.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, now, since you guys are also deep in Cosmos, right? I think, and you're witnessing the explosion of IBC and liquidity on Osmosis, right? I think it would be super cool. Maybe there will be a way to like have, I don't know, bridge or some sort of like, I mean, through the gravity bridge, technically you could bridge GRT also into Osmosis, right? Are there any plans to get GRT liquidity into the Cosmos ecosystem at this point, or not really?
Not really, not at this moment. But the Graph token is accessible on most of exchanges. If like people really want to get a hold of it to use and interact with the Graph protocol, it's like available a lot of places. But yeah, there's no we haven't discussed like anything about the Graph token being a liquidity pool.
Maybe you guys should have a meeting on this, because I would love to trade it on Osmosis, like liquidity with it and these kind of things.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think like 1.5, 2 years ago, everyone was like, oh, when Coinbase, when Binance, and now everyone is like, when osmosis, when liquidity pools, when external incentives, and all these things, So would be
Yeah,
cool to get GRT on Kepler.
exactly. Like decentralized exchanges, like as I said before, if there's something that exists that could be done in a decentralized way, we should do it. So if we had exchanges and we could provide the same services for everyone in a decentralized way, meaning decentralized exchange, let's do it, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys have been, like we talked earlier a little bit, crucial contributors and early like participants in the Cosmos ecosystem, right? What are you guys doing besides running nodes on most Cosmos chains? Is there also some sort of like active development that you're doing, or are you just kind of like bringing the graph now mostly onto Cosmos?
Yeah, sure. So first, we my team and I that we are working on getting this technology, the graph technology, integrating it with as much possible as we can in the Cosmos ecosystem, like Cosmos ecosystem chains. So that's going to benefit the entire ecosystem. So this is definitely we are doing it. It's on our roadmap for the next couple of months. And then the other thing we are doing it more right now is that we were asking ourselves the question that we are validators on, let's say, in the Cosmos ecosystem on multiple chains. And the question was, what could we do more and how could we help? And what is it out there that we could do more to help this ecosystem thrive? And, as validators, your core responsibility is to take all the tokens that were delegated to you and then stake them and help secure the network that you're on. So this is like one of the primary objectives of validators, to secure the networks. And then we ask ourselves, is that all that a validator could do? Like, is it just securing the network that a validator could do? And of course, obviously not. You could start participating in governance. And so the next step after you're staking and securing the network, you could start participating in governance and help the protocol itself or the network itself improve. And so we started voting on almost like all the governance proposals that we could. And this is, I think, like something like a good validator is a validator that always are involved in voting on proposals and driving these changes. And then the question was, all right, we're doing a great job at voting almost at all proposals as much as we can. So what is something else that we could do? Like, what could we do more? And so our protocol team, we have like a team of experts. They started participating a lot in these governance groups. And we started actually driving proposals and creating proposals for these networks, because we have like a set of resources, like experts who really understand the space, they understand each protocol, and they try to understand what is the best for the community and everyone. And so we started right now driving also proposals.
Yeah, and there's a very new one. I know you have to run in a few minutes, so we'll keep it short. With the Gravity Bridge chain, I don't know if Elizabeth is able to join. Otherwise, you can share whatever you know about the kind of like collaboration or development that you do in connection with Althea, which is the main company, I guess, behind the Gravity Bridge chain. So maybe you can talk a little bit about your engagement there, your involvement, and also the proposals there, which say that a part of the is it the Graviton token or the Graph token, GRAV, is distributed to Atom, Osmo, and Ion holders. So what's that about?
Yeah, so Elizabeth Barnes couldn't make it, unfortunately. She was the one behind these proposals. She has like a really good understanding of the Cosmos ecosystem. And so the idea is that, we did a proposal for the Gravity Bridge. We also did a proposal for Stargaze, and we're going to be doing more proposals in the future. So based on my knowledge, as you said, I'm not like the expert on that, but based on our knowledge, like what we're trying to do is that we want this airdrop to be focused on the community of the Cosmos ecosystem. So that's why we chose to, of course, include Atom holders and people who participated in governance on Cosmos Hub. And so, like most of the airdrops are targeting Atom holders. And then, of course, like why we decided to also drop for the Osmosis ecosystem, like and Ion holders, it's for the same reason that like this is how it happened when the osmosis did the airdrop. They also dropped for they also dropped ion for atom holders. So I think this is like what's happening right now. We're trying to include like different stakeholders.
Yeah, and I think also the proportion, I don't know exact numbers, I just read it really briefly, but in proportion, like how many graph tokens the ion holders receive and how many the atom holders receive is like 1 to 10 or something. But yeah, I think this caused a little bit of confusion in discussions, and that's also fair in the Cosmos ecosystem, right? Like the community is super active and dedicated and passionate.
Yeah.
So feedback is very welcome, and but I think it looks like the proposals are going through, right? I didn't check, but it's
I think they have like very high percentage of voting on it, and this is something like I really love about the Cosmos ecosystem, the community. And so they are asking questions. It's their right to ask these questions. If they want to understand, that's perfect. And like all questions are welcome. And yeah, as you said, like the ion is like 1/10 of what's proposed for the other atoms, and other validators are voting on it. So that's that. And the vision right now that's happening in the Cosmos ecosystem, you could see it's like there's an EVM narrative, or like an EVM vibe right now happening within the Cosmos ecosystem. So you have the gravity bridge. We are helping proposing it because like we want to help bring the EVM assets into the Cosmos ecosystem. And there's also Evmos that they are building the EVM machine within the Cosmos ecosystem. And now the graph, which is built on top of Ethereum, is actually coming to the Cosmos ecosystem and integrating. So you can see right now what's happening in this Cosmos ecosystem, a lot of EVM stuff happening there. And we want to play like an important role into bringing the EVM into Cosmos. That's going to be like something important for the entire Cosmos ecosystem.
I agree, yeah. Can you very briefly, are you guys co-developing the Gravity Bridge chain now with the Althea team, or what is your collaboration with them?
Yeah, I think we have the protocol team actually working with them to understand like what is the best way. Like I think the first collaboration, as you could see, is the proposal for the airdrop. And maybe like in the future, there's going to be more proposals that our protocol team experts are working with Althea to bring, and to help foster this new bridge, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think there's going to be collaborations on more proposals and help improve it and build it.
But you guys communicated the proposal beforehand with the Althea team and like jointly pushed it out, or did you just push it out?
Actually, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like as I said, like I didn't work on these proposals, so I'm not sure like how exactly it happens.
Okay, no problem. I'll let you go. Let's do one quick question, which I think is very, very interesting, from Mary about the graph. Since we talked about, you said how graph is decentralized, but when so many projects depend on it, how can it be decentralized? Is it a single point of failure? Maybe you can address that, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. This is an excellent question. So why it is decentralized and why it's not a single point of failure. So let's say today you are using Amazon Web Services, and you've built your application on top of Amazon Web Service, and then the Amazon Web Service went down. All the applications built on top are going to go down. This is a single point of failure. We recently saw the same happen with Facebook when their service went down. Instagram, WhatsApp, all the applications that are built within on the same infrastructure also went down. So why it's not the case with the graph? Because on the graph, you have the indexers, the role which is the role that collect this data and provide it. And as of today, there's around 160 indexers. So when you are using the graph, you're not using a single point of failure. You're not depending on one indexer. There's actually a network of 160 different indexers. If one of them goes down, there's 159 other over there. So this is why it's decentralized, because like you have 160 indexer, and this is why it's not single point of failure.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for addressing that. Yeah, I'll let you go. I know you have to run. So yeah, thanks for all your insights. I think this was a power session, and very, very valuable for the community. So yeah, we'll stay in touch. Make sure to follow these guys on Twitter at Figment_IO. I'll actually share that real quick. follow Figment on Twitter. Boom. To track their what other cool things they're doing in the Cosmos ecosystem, especially. So yeah, thanks for coming on, and hope to see you here in Mexico in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, man. Let's try to meet in person.
Awesome. All right, man.
All right. Ciao.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.